Okay, imagine this. You are a child once more, and you've grown up entirely on Nintendo games. You love Pokemon more than your family, and you've treated every single one of them in your party like an extension of your soul, which is exactly why you named your Snorlax Nipple. One day your mom decides to take you to GameStop, the land of the free, and just to look around, just to browse the shelves a little bit. And as you're looking across all of these shelves of video games, you realize something very important. There's a brand new Pokemon game that just released. Filled with excitement, you look to your mom and you ask, "Can I get the new Pokemon game?" And she hits you with the dreaded, "You've already got enough Pokemon games, Isaac." Feeling powerless and realizing for the first time that you're an 8-year-old with literally no way of making money, you decide to do the most unthinkable, diabolical, tragic, putrid thing that any child could ever do, and sell your games to GameStop. As soon as you get home, you start grabbing every single video game that could even hold a penny's worth of value to trade in. Pokemon Fire Red looks pretty good to me. New Super Mario Bros. DS, why not? Animal Crossing Wild World, your villagers were already starving in the first place. Pokemon Emerald, okay, this is actually where you start to feel physical pain for what you're about to do. As you're driving back to GameStop with your stomach in knots, your mom looks over at you and says, "Are you sure that you want to do this? Don't you love those games?" And you respond with,
"Mom, you could never understand the insatiable hunger of a consumer shackled to the cycle of novelty and desire.
These games aren't just cartridges. They're the toll I must pay to ascend."
And with fake confidence, you walk back into GameStop, drop your entire childhood on the counter, and tell the underpaid employee you'd like to trade everything in for one single copy of Pokemon Platinum. This exact story happened to me so many times as a child, dude. I was deep in the GameStop cycle. I would get maybe a couple of games here for Christmas and my birthday, and then, something new and shiny would come out a couple months later that I didn't have the money to afford, and I'd say, you know what? I'm just going to trade everything I own in for that one thing. And now that I'm old enough and can reflect on my sins of what I've done, I realize that this whole entire system of trading in games and selling your childhood video games was quite literally a plague that just swept across the world. I don't even know how GameStop almost went bankrupt a couple of years ago, because they've done nothing but blindly rob children for the majority of their life. They would offer you the most diabolically low amounts for any type of video game. You'd walk in with a childhood worth of memories, 15 games, 3 accessories, maybe even a whole entire console if you were desperate enough, and then the guy behind the counter would just type for a few seconds on his computer and then hit you with the,
"Yeah, I could do about $750 in-store credit only."
And the worst part is, we were idiots and still took the deal. We were blinded by the shiny new thing, and we just had to have it. When I look back now at what I've done as a child and the horrific tragedy that was the GameStop apocalypse on my childhood, I feel nothing but regret, to be honest. Most people look back and feel bad from a monetary standpoint because they look up the prices of some of their games that they used to own, and a lot of these, if they were popular, have doubled, tripled, and like 8 million foopled in value. It's insane. And when you find that out as an adult, especially because we're living in a world where, companies are selling subscriptions for mattress pads, you start wishing that you still had them just so you could sell them for the insane amount of value that they are in the current market. But that just starts the miserable cycle over again, dude. I'm telling you, that is the wrong path. You should not be selling these games. There are so many hidden benefits and beautiful things about keeping these childhood games that have nothing to do with the money. And trust me, I know this pain so well. I sold almost everything I owned, or at least everything I could find as a child, to GameStop just to buy the new thing. Pretty much most of the footage that you get to see from these videos of older games, I've had to repurchase later on in my life. I know the value so well of these childhood games and why you should keep them, and I'm going to hopefully convince you of that today. And even if you don't have your childhood games, there's still a lot of reasons just why you should keep the ones that you already do own physically. And, maybe watching this video, we can just cry together about the fact that we both got scammed by GameStop. If you're like me and you've been playing video games your entire life, then you can kind of look back now on a lot of these games and understand what was happening based off the game that you were playing. We'll always look back to these moments, especially if we were a child, and think so fondly of them. And anything that can bring you and teleport you back to that experience or that memory is something that you can't really put a price tag on. Well, eBay will tell you that there's a price, but the memories are priceless. So many of us played the exact same game and the exact same storyline when we were younger, but the beautiful thing is that we all had different experiences. And one of the best things about keeping your childhood classics is that you now have the ability to go back and revisit some of these memories and save files as if it were yesterday. Some of these save files act as like a digital museum that you're able to play through and walk through to see what was going on and see what you've created and what you've built inside of that game. To me, this is the core reason why anybody should hold on to and keep their physical video games, because not only did we sink hundreds of hours into these games, but we've also been building and creating things inside of these specific files. And as goofy as it sounds, just because it's video games, I genuinely believe that all of your creations, your level grinding, and in-game accomplishments are something that you should be proud of, and they deserve the chance to get revisited someday. My mom and my grandma were always super supportive of me as a child when it came to any creative endeavors as a kid, like so much so that they literally have kept almost everything that I've made from when I was younger and then just put it on full display, even though it's the most hideous thing known to man. My grandma still has this like mask that I made in 3rd grade hanging on her wall, and it's so ugly, but she just hangs it up there like it's a Picasso painting. And every time I see it in her room, I feel so grateful that she was able to support and encourage me despite whatever I was creating. What's amazing about video games, and for a lot of kids who grew up with video games, this was one of the primary outlets where we express creativity, and we genuinely, depending on the game, made things. And years later, if you still own the copy, you can go back and revisit what you've created and kind of be like the grandma to your younger self and encourage them and just appreciate whatever goofy art or building in Minecraft or Animal Crossing world, whatever it is, you can go back and just kind of be proud of your younger child. And even if you didn't build something, every single save file does have a collection of memories attached to them and always will be able to tell you a story of what was going on. Pokemon is probably the most popular example here, and at first it doesn't seem like there's too much to reflect on until you actually dive into the Pokemon that you were collecting. A lot of us organized our PCs a certain way, or we had specific Pokemon in our party at all times, and we also gave them the goofiest names imaginable. I've been buying back a lot of old Pokemon games, and one of my favorite things to do is to see if there's any old save files on the cartridges themselves, and if there is, I love going back in and seeing what was going on. There was a girl named Bella who owned my copy of Pokemon Fire Red, and she played like 9 hours of this game, caught 14 Pokemon, and beat 1 gym. Taking a look at her party and her names, it seems pretty normal. We've got like Jacob, Alice, Rosalie. I think one of them said like Renesmee or something. Wait, this is all just Twilight characters. And her name was Bella. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's so much to understand about whatever the heck you were consuming or watching or doing as a child, because you probably did something similar in your Pokemon game. Dude, I cannot tell you how much money I would pay to get my save file back from the very first Minecraft world that I built. This was in 2009, I think, in one of the alpha versions, and my family PC was so bad that I had to lower the render distance to the bare minimum, and I had fog all around me. I could barely see a thing, but I remember enjoying it so much, and I built a house into like the side of a mountain, and I had like a little underground water base, and dude, I could see it so vividly in my brain, but I wish I still had that save file so I could go back and revisit that goofy Minecraft world that I made. These games and these files are such amazing opportunities to look back and be proud of our ability to create things, or just be grateful that we had experiences like this and were able to share in a bit of creativity despite whatever game it was, and just had fun as a younger person. The beautiful thing about childhood is that the dumbest and most unhealthy things are still remembered pretty fondly. Since I grew up with a single mom who worked 3 different jobs, I ate processed food so much. I was basically a vacuum for anything that had like plastic wrapping in it. My mom used to buy those Frito-Lay classic mix snack chips variety packs. These things were in my rotation non-stop, man. Every single morning before I'd go to class in 6th grade, I would eat like 3 bags of these chips and then down a mug of hot chocolate. And I didn't know it at the time, but I'm literally lactose intolerant. So I would just go to school with an atomic bomb in my stomach. And then every single morning, dude, like it was clockwork, I would go to the bathroom and just turn the toilet into Splash Mountain. Now, as an adult, I can't even really look at those same bags of chips anymore without kind of feeling a little bit grossed out because of how much I ate them. Video games, on the other hand, are the complete opposite. Most of these still hold up, and no matter how many times I've consumed them, I still find myself wanting to eat them, besides maybe the Switch cartridges. When it comes to revisiting these childhood games, I found that there's actually a 3-tier system towards diving into the nostalgia. First, there's emulation, then there's repurchasing the original hardware, and finally, the ultimate tier of nostalgia is playing your original childhood copy. And the order here really matters because as you go down each tier, the nostalgia hits that much harder. Now, I love retro handhelds, and if you watch this channel, you know that I can't stop purchasing these things and I'm addicted to them. But 99% of the time, it's just not the same as original hardware. In some cases, it's actually even better because it has sharper visuals and smoother performance with upscaled resolutions, but most of the time, it does kind of lack that original magic. Maybe it's the specific way the Game Boy Color screen reflected light, or how a CRT TV gave old consoles that warm glow, but there's just something about playing on the real thing that can't be recreated, and it all comes down to what you personally played as a child. For me, I've been a handheld kid my whole life, and the DS era was a huge chunk of my existence, so it's hard to emulate or replicate a lot of that experience on a handheld. Maybe the upcoming Thor will change that, which is why I'm so pumped for that device, but so far the DSi XL is my secret lover. This is exactly why a lot of people buy into the next tier, which is repurchasing original hardware. This is when the nostalgia really starts to kick in, the way the console feels in your hands, the way those pixels glow, and it's almost identical to the experience you remember, so long as the gear that you bought is in good shape. For most people, this is more than enough, and you're going to be fine with the nostalgia that you get out of it. But if you really want to dive deep into the nostalgia iceberg here, the only way to touch the original source is by playing your original hardware. For most of us, that's impossible because we sold everything to GameStop and we'll never see those games again. But if you're one of the chosen few who still have their original consoles and they actually work and are in good condition, you, my friend, have won the lottery. I view these as a personal relic that you can still enjoy to this day. You're reconnecting with the exact same physical object that you once held as a kid, but now it's through adult eyes. One of the saddest things about this whole digital era is the fact that we're losing the ability to collect and build a library of any type of media that actually means something to you and is physically there. With all this digital stuff, there's always that looming fear that one day Steam or any other similar platform might just disappear, and then there goes literally all of your games. Thankfully, we are getting movements from things like GOG.com that are selling you DRM-free games that allow you to come as close to digitally owning something as you can. You get to keep the installer, and you don't ever have to like authenticate yourself. So if you have that installer on some type of drive, it's technically yours. But even so, this is still just digital, and honestly, nothing beats physical media. Holding on to your games and physical media becomes a way to document your hobby and essentially just build a journey across this thing that you've committed so many hours and so much time to. Every game becomes a time capsule for who you were whenever you played it, and the little things like the scratches on maybe the label of the disc, or there's something broken with like the physical packaging of the item, or there is even like a receipt from GameStop, or I don't even know if we support GameStop after what we've witnessed in this video. It all tells a story, and it's almost like you're painting this huge picture across your life if you intend to play video games for your whole life, of the games that you've played, the stories that you've consumed, and the different worlds that you've just decided to dive into one day. This is why I haven't connected with online video games in the same way, and while they've been so impactful on my life, like Rocket League has literally changed my entire life and my trajectory of who I am as a person, it's just so hard to look back on a lot of these memories in the same light as I do with some of my childhood video games. This is because these online forms of games strip back and basically get rid of that element completely, where there is nothing to reminisce about. You can definitely make the whole social and community argument with these things because you can meet some fantastic people that could become lifelong friends, but if you're not recording all of your footage and trimming clips and collecting, you know, folders on folders of funny moments or whatever it is that happen in these games, there's essentially nothing that you can own or physically have that will be a memory from any of this. I've been obsessed with making videos my entire life, so I do actually have a deep catalog of just horribly cringe videos that I recorded that I don't want to show you, but
Nothing too bad.
I'm sorry.
So then I go back to freaking doing whatever I'm doing, you know, chilling there thinking about what I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden the dude just starts going ham at my mouth. Like, dude, like he's like inside my mouth like it's a cave.
If you are really big into playing online games, I would suggest getting something like Metal. I'm not sponsored by them, but this is just like one of those softwares that runs actively in the background. It doesn't cause any lag that I've noticed, and it actually gives you the opportunity to clip whatever happens or any funny moments, and it stores them in a nice little video file on your computer. So if you want to create memories and have things to look back on, then this is, in my opinion, the only way to do it digitally with online games.
It's following you, it's following you, I don't know why! No! This is the wrong way, bro. This is the wrong
Oh no. When it comes to a physical game collection, I think that the most beautiful part about all of this is that hopefully one day it's not just yours and you'll be able to share it with the people that you love around you. So whether that's your kids or your children or your partner or a friend, literally whatever it is, getting the option to give them maybe a copy of one of your favorite games that you grew up with to somebody that never played it and gets to experience it now in a similar way that you did is such an important thing that I don't want to ever let go of or let die. If I ever have a kid, they're probably gonna hate me because instead of getting them the new Nintendo Switch 3, I'm just gonna like hand them a DS and be like, yep, this is what you're playing now.
You're gonna sit here and play Pokemon Platinum and you're gonna like it.
This can be a double-edged sword though, because at a certain point you just start hoarding junk. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to want to revisit Far Cry Vengeance for the Wii. I've actually never seen footage of this game until I wrote this script, and oh my gosh, it looks, what am I watching right now? This looks kind of awesome. Maybe we should keep this. Most things were awesome as a kid because we were a kid. Like, even if something horrible was going on, we didn't really care and we were having a good time. Just like whenever my grandma came to pick me up when I was 7, I was pumped. I was having a blast, even though my dad was leaving. The formula that I follow when it comes to owning any of my older games is that if I would want to play it as an adult, then I would enjoy owning it, but I don't want to, you know, collect stuff that I'm just never gonna touch. That way I don't accidentally force my future kids to play Busy Scissors because I don't own it. Wait, actually, I do own this thing, so it must be a pretty good game. Everyone's budget is super tight right now. I completely understand that, so I don't want to discourage anyone from selling their games or Pokemon cards that cost more than their house. At the end of the day, the memories are truly what matters the most, and depending on the hardware, it might not actually be an enjoyable experience. Like, I don't really think I ever want to play on my original GBA SP ever again because it doesn't have the nice LCD screen, and I'm not gonna play this, dude. At the end of the day, say I'm just grateful that I got to own some of these games where a lot of kids didn't even get the chance to play them. So there's so much to be thankful for here. But if you are going to sell your games, please do yourself a favor and just back up the save file. There are tons of tutorials and tools for most systems that let you rip a lot of the save files and store them on your PC, and that's really where all the sentimental value lives. All of this stuff that we've talked about today just revolves around nostalgia, and man, it's a dangerous drug here. As somebody who's obsessed with this stuff and loves revisiting older things and retro consoles or anything that's even dated whatsoever, you got to be careful, because if you don't come back into the past with a perspective of gratitude, you are going to end up looking for and searching for a feeling that just doesn't exist anymore. You'll just end up sitting there playing these games like, man, what happened? I used to have childlike wonder, and now I have a void in my soul. I see a lot of comments on my videos where people are talking about how sad they get when they go back to play these games and realize that it's not the same as they once thought it was, or the happiness is kind of gone. And I just want to remind everybody that nostalgia doesn't always have to relate to your childhood. Like I feel nostalgia for things that happened a couple years ago, you know, when I was an adult still. And I think it's just important to realize that we can create memories even in the present moment that will be nostalgic in the future, and you always have that power to create that level of joy and happiness and childlike wonder that's still inside of you. You've just got to be present-minded enough to continue to, I don't know, capitalize on whatever makes you happy. There's always new things and new opportunities, whether it's with an older game, a newer game, or just anything else. It doesn't have to be video games, to create beautiful memories that you will one day look back on and think, wow, I'm just so blessed that I got to experience that. Or we could just continue to sell all of our games to GameStop for $5.
Won't take abuse lying down, you mistaken, ain't there for the way, and then I'm quick for the way out. 40 tons on my shoulder trying to get a payout. Every second layover, I'm thinking about the layout. Readjust my trust.